What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Team Fish Knuckles YouTube channel. Today we have a states recap, and this time around we have Jason, who actually participated in the Malaysia states. This past weekend, he got top 4, and we're actually going to talk about his experience. He said he couldn't do an interview because he has roommates and he couldn't talk about it. But I interviewed on Facebook Messenger. We talked about a lot about his deck, and as you see, it looks close to the ECC list that we talked about a couple of days ago. He changed the muscle bands to fighting Fury Belt to help out in the Evital Zora Glade matchup. But let's go over his how he did first, or what his decks played against. So his day, round 1, he played against Night March. Night March Time Puzzle with Melodic, and it was a win-win. He won both those games. That seems pretty easy because you have the Giratina with Chaos Well. You can make it where they can't play their DCEs down. They can't play. If you Quake a Punch early, you Quake a Punch the Night March deck early, that they can't play their item cards, discard their Night Marchers, and then you have Giratina making it where they can't use their DCEs anymore. Then you have the Crush Hammers and the Team Flare Guns to discard the energies off the active. Maybe Zerosic discard a DC off the bench. And you can see how it's a bad matchup. Next up is Evital Vespa Queen Zoroark. It was a win-loss win. I guess I don't know, you have enough energy denial with the Crushed Hammer and Team Flare Guns and Zerosics to just kind of slow them down with Toad, and then you go in the Giratina. That's how all your matches are going to go. You're going to Quake a Punch with Toad early game, then you're going to sweep a Giratina, take the last couple prize cards, and you have enough energy denial cards, and that's usually how you're going to win the game. Round 3 versus Houndoom Mill. Lost senior, so he let me win because of win. Doesn't matter much for him. So he actually lost against Houndoom Mill, but the senior gave him the win because it doesn't matter to him. But I imagine Houndoom Mill would be kind of hard for this deck because they have probably Crawdont and enough enough Headringers not Headringers, I guess Zerosic and Team Flaregrunts that you discard all their DCEs. And since Jason doesn't play Team Flaregrunts, I don't even know if I said his name. His name's Jason, by the way. I don't know if I said that, but he plays. He plays these DCEs and Double Dragon Energies, but he doesn't have ways to get them back with Bumblebee and or Time Puzzle. So once the energies are gone, they're gone forever. So I imagine that Houndoom Mill is probably a hard matchup. Next up was Evital Zora Glade, a win-loss tie. Now, probably a hard matchup. I imagine he's playing Evital EX, and Evital EX is kind of your worst matchup. Jason said it's pretty much even, but I think it's a hard matchup. But he said it's even. I'll go over that later. How he thinks it's even. Next up was round 5, and Evital Zora Glade win-win. So he is currently a win, and a tie against Evital Zora Glade. And then round 6, he played against Manetric Bats, the ID. And then, so he made a cut. It looks like he won, tie, 1 tie. So he was 402. If that seems like it was correct. Top 8, he played against Mega Ray Colorless. Now this is probably an easy matchup. You have energy denial, then you have Quake a Punch, where they can't get their energies back because they can't use Mega Turbo, Max Elixirs, whatever they use. I'm not sure what his list was. All I know is he played a Manaphy to give his Pokemon free retreat. Jason did tell me that, which is pretty interesting. Then in top 4, he played against Clifton, playing Evital Zora Glade, and he lost. He said versus Clifton top 4, drew dead hand, but Swiss he 2-0'd him. So in Swiss, he 2-0'd him, but at top 4, he did have dead hands, and he lost that way. That is very unfortunate, especially since he played 2 games, and he lost both of them. But still, top 4 is very great, especially for the first standard format with Breakpoint. It was legal. Generations was not legal yet, if I remember correctly. I think it was not. So we didn't see any of the generation cards like Jolteon that everybody's hyping up right now. But still, top 8 is nothing. Or top 4, it's showing that Seismitoad is straight. It's a good card. And there was a bunch of Evital. He said heavy Evital in my states, and he did get his Worlds Invite off this. So congrats to Jason for doing that. He is 220 out of 200, which is very nice. So congratulations. And let's see. So you can tell by his list some said it's basically the same, the ECC list, except you taught to switch to muscle bands for fighting free belt. And if you don't know, fighting free belt makes where your Pokemon have 40 more HP and they tax do 10 more damage to the opponent's active Pokemon, which is very nice. It makes where Giratina has 210 HP and it makes Seismitoad have 220, yeah, 220, 210. There we go. It plays Team Aqua Secret, basically gives Pokemon one less. It needs one more energy to retreat. And then you have like your energy denial cards like Crush Hammer, Team Flagrance, and Zerosik. We talked about this before. And the Escape Rope is for Jirachi. I know some people have asked me, why do you play Escape Rope in the deck? Well, if your opponent is using Jirachi, what you can do is hopefully by the time they have the energies to attack with Jirachi, you get Escape Rope, the Lysander, bring up the Jirachi, and then knock it out the Giratina EX, because when you start Quake and Punch, your opponent can't search for the Jirachi, and that means, you know, it's going to take a while to find it, and once they do find it, you should have the energies on a Giratina EX to take a knockout on that Jirachi. But he said, let's say you Headringer and Evital EX. So this is how he's going to beat Evital EX, is what he's telling me right now. So you Headringer and Evital EX, and with Giratina, with belts, with all energies and stuff, denying the dark energy, because when you're attacking with Giratina against Evital, they can't, you know, they can't attach their DCs and everything. So you have energy denials to energy denial the Evital EXs, and if they attack, they have to two-shot your Giratina because they're not doing a lot of damage. You know, there's no way they're going to do 210. So they have to two-shot you, and if they do this, they lose all their energies. So that's how he says he's going to go. He said it's a good matchup. That's how he wins Evital Zorkalade. You go heavy Giratina, and you have energy denial. They can't play their DCEs. You have Headringers, so they can't use their muscle bands either if you draw this early game. And then you have a Zerosik as well, which can discard tools off the active Pokemon if you want to put the Headringers on it. If you don't know, Headringer makes it where they need one more energy to attack, but it goes on EX Pokemon, which is very interesting. Now, you know, if you do Chaos Wheel for a Headringer, they can't attach a tool because Chaos Wheel makes it where they can't play tools. So, but as long as you get the Headringer, they need 3 energies on their Evital to start doing damage to you. All right. Let's see here. I said, was there any cards you would like to cut and add instead? The list is quite good. I thought my meta would have a lot of Trevenant, but it ends up it was a lot of Evital Zorkalade. Somehow Hex Maniac I didn't use much because I didn't face any Trevenant. He would drop a Hex Maniac for a second Lysander to kill Jirachi promo, just to bring the Jirachi promo up quicker, so you for sure guaranteed the knockout. I said if Trevenant was big, would the Hex help out? He said, well, by playtesting online with Straight Toad, which beats Trevenant, because you have multiple, I guess Trevenant, you have multiple like Team Flagrants and stuff, so they usually can't get their energies back as, you know, because you're Quake and Punch, unlocking them, they have their Force Curse ability, making it where you can't play your item cards, but luckily they can't really discard your DCs because a lot of the Trevenant decks don't play Team Flagrants, so they can't really discard your Toad's DCE, and once you discard their DCs, you're pretty good to go, and then you have Super Scuba to pick up your Seismitoads as well, to make it where they don't knock out. So actually, it's probably a okay matchup. But he said, but he just kept losing to Vespiquen and Night March. And this is what I was talking about earlier. With Giratina, you can use Chaos Wheel, making it where they can't attach their tools or special energy cards. And then obviously you can see how great of a matchup this is when they can't use their DCs to attack you because they can't take any more knockouts. And this is why Giratina is such a good card and Vespiquen against Vespiquen and Night March. But let's see here. Did he meet Trevenant? But my basic strategy was just neither energies. Maybe can Lysander or Hex and Hammers all the energy away. Because against Trevenant, you can use Hex Maniac, and then you can start using Crush Hammers instead of relying on the Team Flare Guns. But once you Hex Maniac, you can VS Seeker for a Team Flare Gun for the following turn as well, which is pretty neat. But he said none of the Trevenants made cut because there was a ton of Evital Zorkalade. It's probably still one of the best decks in standard format for sure. But let's see. I said, would you consider switching decks, or do you think Totina is still the best play? He said Totina is definitely still the best play. Doesn't really have any bad matchups at all. Even versus Evital, it's quite even. Then I asked him, sounds good to me. Did you ever want Puzzle of Time? Because a lot of people are hyping Puzzle of Time inside the Toad Giratina to reuse your Crush Hammers, your VS Seekers, maybe you get back your DCEs and double Dragon Energies, like I said. He said no, he tested it out. It's hard to get the perfect timing for 2 in your hand. He said I might want to try Milotic, but it's still scary because Trevenant can easily knock out your Feebasses and or your Milotics. It's a free prize card. You really don't want to put those down. But if you only put 1/1 Milotic down, They take one prize card. They still have to knock out 3 EXs, so maybe it's not such a bad idea. But we'll see. Maybe people start testing Melodic in their Seismitoad Giratina deck. Let's see. He said basically my states is a lot of Evital, some Greninjas, Trevenant, Vespiquen, Zorg, Vespiquen Zork as in one deck. Darkrai, Malamar, Aromatisse, Night March. I don't think there was a bunch of Malamar Aromatisse. I definitely think it was one person. I think it was Tito. I think it's how you say his name. But as, hey, you're going to get any more tournaments? He said no. Next week is Philippine states. So we'll see another recap of the states before the U.S. Get their states, because U.S. still has 2 more weekends before their states. Not next weekend, the following weekend. I'm trying to remember what date that is. Let me see what date that is. The 19th is the first weekend of North America states, if I remember correctly. So the 12th, there will be another state in the Philippines, so we can see what the results of that. I think Generations is legal at that time. Don't quote me with that. We can see if Jolteon would actually make an impact or not. Now, it might be a little bit harder for them to get cards. I'm not 100% sure how it works over there. But yeah. So that was my interview with Jason. Hopefully you learned something new. Once again, it seemed like Evital was the biggest deck out there for sure. It did play, there was a bunch of Trevenants. Supposedly there's Trevenant and Greninja, but they didn't make cut. I know multiple players who played them, but they didn't make cuts into that. There was Evital Zoroark Glade. There was a Totina. There was a Vespiquen Zorg. There was Night March. There was Mega Rayquaza. With the Mana Feed, there's a Manectric Bats. I think that was all the decks. Yeah, because there's 3 Evital Zork Glade. It was actually the finals. It was a mirror match, Evital Zork Glade, which is pretty funny. So if you're not testing Evital Zork Glade for Standard, I definitely think you need to test it out. It's definitely one of the better decks, and that proved it this weekend. Now, like I said, this might change when Generations come online, and people are hyping up Jolteon EX a lot right now, but I personally don't think Jolteon EX is that great of a card. You do have Glade to beat Jolteon EX as well, and they can't one-shot you. They only do 70, and if they play Mega Manectric, they do 110 to you, so I definitely think either Evital Zork Glade or Seismitoad Giratina is a good play, and I think Seismitoad Giratina can even beat Mega Manectric Jolteon, because you get Headringer their Mega Manetrics and make them where they need 3 energies and energy denial, and then you have the energy denial of their Jolteon. So it might be okay, but we'll see. We'll see how everything pans out. I still, like I said, I don't think Jolteon, I think it's a lot of hype. I don't think it's that great of a card. But hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you learned something new about these states coming up for here in America. Like I said, 2 weeks away. This is the first sign of what is to come. Evital Zork Glade taking first and second place. Evital still the #1 king of the tournament structure right now. But hopefully you enjoyed this video. Have a great day. Maybe you I actually added some new lights. I put the microphone on a different side, so maybe it makes things differently. Hopefully the lighting is better. I know I've been trying my best to improve stuff as I can. But thanks for watching. Have a great day. Alrighty.